Hello, beautiful people. And today I have the delightful Kelly, and I'm not saying her surname, Myszkowski, Mrs. Skowski. Kelly can introduce herself to us. Such a privilege. I had the most amazing conversation with Kelly, and this is one of the reasons I decided we get to hear her, and she gets to share her wisdom with us. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us, and please say your surname for us.
Thank you, Janine. You actually nailed it the first time, at least the way we say it. I say Myszkowski, some people say Myszkowski, but close enough. So Kelly Myszkowski.
And Kelly Myszkowski, what do you do and how did you get there to do it?
Well, essentially, I've been studying the art of being human. Many different aspects of what creates us, what creates our bodies, what creates our realities, what creates our challenges. And I got there through my own experience in life of having some physical symptoms that didn't resolve in the traditional way with allopathic medicine and massage therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, chiropractic. None of that was working. But when I got to the point of being able to relax, and let my self-corrective mechanisms be resourced and let life flow and unfold as it naturally was trying to do, then I began to change. My body began to feel better. But I also noticed my life was changing, even though I wasn't doing anything about that consciously and intentionally. So I realized there was something to that. And that was really a jump start to my spiritual journey. Study of spirituality and experience with it, and eventually into the metaphysical world. And now I'm diving more deeply into quantum physics. But the practical version of that is that I help people get out of their own way, especially midlife women who have had a degree of success in the traditional sense. They've checked all of those boxes and they reach the point where something's missing. They're not feeling like they're fulfilled or they're living a purpose. They know there must be something more, but they can't put their finger on it. They don't know what to do about it, and they just stay on the treadmill. So I help them reconnect with who they truly are, what they truly want, unwind limiting body mindset patterns. And I know we're probably going to talk about that in a little more depth, so that they can fully express as who they are designed to be. And know their purpose, know their vision, know their mission, and live that and make their unique difference in the world, being themselves and expressing as themselves. And in the process of that, they learn to connect with their innate built-in guidance system that I say is your soul speaking to you in different ways, so that it's guiding you to live in the way that's best for you. And that really is about making aligned decisions and choices. We're making choices in every minute. You and I were making a bunch of them before we started recording. And many of those things we take for granted. But the more we can be in sync with the all-knowing, omniscient intelligence, it's the same force that formed us from the beginning, from conception. It's still forming us. It's still creating our lives. But our minds get in the way. So that's the shortest version of it.
That is the most beautiful version. And I must say, I love talking to you because we do things that are so similar. Let's go back to that mind, body, soul, vision, and mission. Where has this helped you with your soul, mission, and vision? And how do you bring this across to hold space for your clients?
Ultimately, I've come to the point that I realize source, whatever that means to anyone, put your own label on it. Okay. I try to speak in an all-encompassing way. But that is my greatest supporter and has my back and knows way more than my logical mind knows. So developing confidence and faith in trusting that and in following that guidance gives me a lot more confidence. It reduces my stress level. It gives me clarity and direction. And one of the worst side effects is that I'm healthier for it. and happier
Right.
for it. And
That's
it's helped me see at some very pivotal moments in my life what was going on, what the bigger picture is, and ultimately find my way to my what's next and let go of what doesn't work for me.
Now, that is a very important sentence. Please say that again. You let go. What do you let go of?
The things that aren't working for me.
Uh-huh.
And my definition of what should be, or my ideas about how things should be, as I learned along the way. And that's really what limits us. We get programmed very young how to be in the world. And some of it is, by our well-meaning, well-intentioned caregivers, our teachers, our mentors, and what have you. And it doesn't mean that that's all wrong for us, but much of it can be very limiting. And some of it is like direct teaching and correction, and some of it we learn through observation or our own assumptions about what's going on in the way that we learn. And we create this whole set of rules and ideals and paradigms that we live by, and don't realize that we're actually limiting ourselves potentially. And our stress is one indicator of that, in the very broadest sense, whether it's just feeling a little tired, a little worn out, a little unfulfilled, a little overcommitted, or it's actually gone past the point of, hey, you need to change, and become, gone from stress to dis-ease to disease.
Yeah.
And our bodies are a direct reflection. To me, they are our subconscious minds in three-dimensional reality that we call physical, which is really just, it's still energy, but it's condensed. And that is showing us how that energy is flowing. And we can use that, if we need to, as a signpost to backtrack and decode what's going on for us and what some of those limits have been.
That is very, very powerful. Now, with your clients, what is the most common thing you see, and how do you help them with that?
The most common thing, in essence, is that they know they want more, but they don't know what it is or how to get there, how to get past where they are. They're feeling stuck. They're feeling stressed. They want something more. Many of them have been at that midlife point where it's time for a change, or they already have retired and they want to create something new, but they don't know what it is, or they're going to retire and they want to plan so that they don't wake up one day shocked and feeling like they've completely lost their identity. So many of us, I think, especially as women, we wear so many hats, and we identify, we will say, I am a wife, I am a mother, I am a sister, I am an employee, I am a president, I am a solopreneur, whatever it is. And if that changes, that part of us that identifies with that can feel lost. So if we help them reconnect to themselves in a way that transcends all of their experiences, they don't lose that.
I put it in the way that I help my clients remember who they can be as they explore and release who they were. Because yes, I'm seeing this more and more, and I'd like to get your take on it. We are so taught about what we are, we forget to look at who we are. What has your experience been with this?
For myself or with clients, or both?
Both.
Both?
Yeah. Tall order.
It's really, I think in some ways it's surprising, and in some ways it isn't. Because there may be aspects of ourselves that have been so cut off that we feel so free, and we're surprised and we're joyful, and never knew that we could live life that way, experiencing it that way, trying new things, perhaps. Being someone that perhaps our family wouldn't even recognize, or it may be that we always knew that part of us was in there and just never had the chance to explore it. You might be exploring a new talent or a new occupation or a new way of using your energy to experience the world. I mean, some people just want to travel the world. I'm not career advising or counseling or anything like that, or a business advisor to help people set up their next venture. But I can help them discover what it is that they want and be who they need to be to have it, and then help them connect with the best resources to support them in those more specific ways.
Wow, that is very powerful. As you've gone along this journey, what has shifted for you that you can identify? What has been the biggest shift for you? Because lots of things shift. What has been the most important thing that has shifted for you up to this point?
Being able to handle change
Oh,
with
yeah, oh
less
my.
stress is it. And for me, it really was about leaving the corporate world and becoming a solopreneur was the biggest notable thing from the outside, I think, because at the time when my last job in the corporate world ended, I intuitively knew it was time to move on to something else, but I was still living in my head from logic and from what I saw in the world and from my upbringing that I knew I needed training. Okay. But in my head was, to get training, you have to pay for it. To get money to pay for training, you work. If I'm working to make money to get training, when do I have time for training? From a human design perspective, I'm a projector by
Oh, me
nature.
too.
My available energy, yes, I know. And so you know as well, our
Yes.
innate energy is limited.
Yes.
And we have to be very careful to spend it effectively and efficiently and rest a lot. So I was stuck in that. How do I work and go to school? And my job was taken away and I was trying to find another job. And when I finally, I knew my career in that field ended. So I was looking more for work, but work that was moving me in the direction I was headed. And when I finally said, that's it, I think I just need to go to school and let things fall into place, they did.
Wow.
Because I let source lead. I let it resource me and I trusted. And I had the support that I needed for that to happen.
I love that. Source and resourced you. So brought the source back to you. I love that. I actually did a whole podcast on that at one point in time.
Did you?
Yeah, it's just, for me, what you said there just rang so many bells. And I would love to hear from our audience. Come and find Kelly and myself on LinkedIn and tell us what you feel about what you receive here. Kelly, what are you doing specifically? Do you have a specific program for your clients? Do you work one-on-one? What is your vision for your future?
My vision for my future is primarily working very deeply one-on-one with clients. I love to teach. I love to work with very small, intimate groups, so I'm open to that. I'm open to collaboration with other like-minded professionals. But my gift really lies in my ability to connect with someone in a way that allows them to feel seen and heard and safe to explore what's going on for them. And it's a very organic process that unfolds naturally when you both get out of the way with no agenda. We'll set an intention. We will do some work together that is very intentional and somewhat cerebral, evaluating where you are, where you've been, where you might like to go. But then I invite you to go deeper and let your creative side explore and play, so that you get used to that and not making a list of pros and cons and evaluating in that respect. And begin to learn to tune into the more subtle nuances of your own energy, your body, what might be happening for you on in terms of subtle cues that are there to guide you forward. Some people know they're clairaudient or they're clairvoyant or clairsentient or any of the clairs, and that's awesome. That's part of your guidance. The way your body is responding is also part of your guidance, because when you're really off track, you will experience stress. And off track may not be that the choice is wrong. It may be your beliefs are limiting you, your fears typically. So we help them learn to relax and open to being in a receiving mode for that input, however that's going to come for them. And as they gain fluency in that, then I invite them to go deeper and be a little more specific in those experiences, to more intentionally connect with their guidance system and ask more specific questions, and do some guided imagery type exercises that allow them to connect with their vision, mission, and purpose. We do some exercises to explore their values and get a clearer picture of who they are and what their gifts and traits and talents are through all of this work. But in the process, their own innate system is guiding it. And when their limits come up, then we'll do a specific exercise or set of exercises to help them release those patterns. And typically that's what I call the limiting body mindset patterns. So it's process work, typically work for a minimum of 6 months with someone. So when they get in that point where their stuff really comes up and they're not comfortable and everybody wants to quit and bolt, that's when you need your coach the most, people. That's when you give me a call. So we want to get you over that hump so you don't say, hey, that didn't work for me. No, you didn't work for you. You quit on yourself. So I stay there with you through it. And then at the end of that, we explore what might be next for them, to follow up with them and hold their hand through the next phase, whatever that can look like. Some people will have a new thing come up and they'll want to work the process deeply. Some people just need maintenance.
That is so true. That is very, very comprehensive. So what led you from there to quantum physics, the quantum field, not quantum physics, quantum field, because that is a field that fascinates me.
I love it because I always hated physics in school.
And
quantum physics blew my mind, but it should, because our mind can't comprehend it.
Yes.
I'm exploring in more depth the nature of who we are, and more of this is coming clear to me, which is informing my work going forward. It hasn't all dropped into place yet, but understanding the nature of kind of the blueprint for our being is I see it, there's a field of nothing. Absolutely nothing exists except potential and possibilities, but those haven't formed yet. So there's potential. Then things start to kind of get filtered down and create some possibilities, and somehow human forms from that in our consciousness, and it becomes more and more narrow, pulling more of those possibilities together and more of those intentions, forming us. And the way I see it, our nervous system, where I started with my journey, is kind of the project manager, if you will, of the construction project that is us in our life, and the blueprint, and carrying out that blueprint and checking the field and seeing what formed in the field. And is this according to the blueprint or not? Do we need to make some corrections or not? So the healthier the nervous system is, the better it can do its job. But all of us is in communication with source field and receiving information as well. And some of the work that I've been doing in groups that I meditate with, we're working on clarifying that communication and getting, lifting the veil that is talked about very commonly in the spiritual and metaphysical world, having that thin and being able to more clearly communicate and have all of the parts of us interact in a more harmonious way and in the highest way possible. But humans are also parts of that whole. So we're used to kind of looking at ourselves and thinking, all right, I got a billion trillion cells here doing a gazillion things. I know that's all technical terms, but when you look at
I
humanity,
understand.
there's a billion trillion of us, right?
Yes.
So the more you and I can do what we're here to do, the better the whole is going to be. And the better the whole gets, the better the bigger whole gets. So that's kind of what I'm studying now. And it's part of my fascination and desire to understand. To me, that the more that we know ourselves and the more we understand ourselves, the more we're able to sense ourselves and what is and isn't working, the better we can be and the happier and healthier we can be. It isn't all rainbows and roses to get there. No, because as our stuff comes up to be released, it can be unpleasant.
Yes.
And I don't know what that's going to be for anybody. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to look like for me. Sometimes there's just a shift in awareness. And that's part of what happened to me, where I realized I was looking at things differently, but I never set out and said, oh, well, this is my belief and I'm going to change the belief. And this is going to be my new belief, because that's in your head. It's not in your energy. That's not in your energy signature and pattern and psyche. To me, is anchored in our body, in our beliefs and thoughts. To me, are anchored in our physical body as patterns of restriction and tension, typically in the fascial system, and physiological functioning within our glands and organs that are all set together relative to a particular experience, like a viral program. And each experience that's similar gets layered onto that and layered onto that, so that we're responding in a robotic way, non-consciously, in situations to survive. And those are the things that can become limiting. And so I've seen a lot of mindset work, well, what's your belief and what belief do you want to have? And then it becomes a mantra, and we've got vision boards and we're repeating stuff. And it doesn't mean it won't work for some things, but the things that really, really are deep that hold us back, I've not seen a lot of success with it. I've not experienced it for myself. It's got too much of a stronghold, too much of an anchor in a physical world. Yeah.
It's almost like we get to wash the trauma wound clean and then step by step help it repair. I don't know if the listeners understand, but when you have a wound, it's got to heal from the bottom up. And many people just close it and hope for the best. And what you're describing to me is being aware of the wound. I'm not saying this for others, for myself, I just got such a lovely visual of the wound healing from the bottom up as we bring the awareness in and understand there's a wound there.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Tell
many
me
people
something.
don't realize that.
Yeah,
when they're stressed, they don't ask why, what's underneath this that's looking to be healed. They breathe, they count to 10, they respond differently, they rest, they drink water, they do yoga, but all they're doing is putting a band-aid on the problem. And because they feel better, they don't realize they stuffed it into a place that they can't sense it. And it's eating away at them, or it's holding them back. It's like a loop in the energy that just creates this little knot. Instead of flowing and expanding as it's meant to, it's stuck in this, it's like a stuck record. I mean, I'm sure you remember the vinyl record days, the needle would skip and you kept hearing the same phrase.
Oh, and then
right?
it would slide across. Oh. Yeah.
You can turn the volume down, you can go over and pick the needle up, but then that's still going to remain in that recording. So let's clean it out and clean it up and let you be you. You'll have more energy. You'll feel better. Who wouldn't want that?
It's true. It's to treat the cause rather than just the symptoms. And that is what I have seen. And I can hear you see the same thing. Kelly, if you could leave our wonderful listeners with one thought, maybe 2 or 3 or several, what would that be? What? Kelly and I had a really humdinging, awesome, incredible chat when we were together.
What's the limit on the number of thoughts I can leave them with? What can the human brain absorb at one time?
What would Source like this audience to know?
Uh, you are special. You are unique. You have a purpose in the whole that perhaps your human brain cannot even begin to comprehend. But know that you matter and you're needed more than ever now to fully, optimally be you. Get out of your own way and express as you're here to express. I do believe there is destiny and there is free choice. And in some cases, we have more choices that will work for us. And in some cases, the path might be a little more restricted, a little more optimal in one direction. But there is a blueprint for you. There is a template for your being. And everything is getting upgraded and overhauled right now. So a lot of people are feeling stressed right now and experiencing difficult things. The more we can tune in and heal ourselves, the faster we'll all get through that. So be you, sync with your soul, live on purpose, let your inner light shine. And that's my website, letyourinnerlightshine.com.
Oh, that's beautiful. Kelly, that was amazing. And people, on that note, I'm going to say thank you, Kelly, and thank you to all the listeners. Remember, let your light shine. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
People, I don't know.